Welcome, everybody. Another episode of Solo Spotlight. I'm here with Karisse.
Whoa,
Hi-
so,
Yeah, don't worry about the dog. How you doing, man?
I'm great, man.
Yeah,
I'm, I'm great.
yeah.
I
I've been
can't
interviewing a
complain.
lot of your buddies. Kind of getting entrenched in that music scene. It's really exciting, and a lot of people have some great things to say about you. Great things to say about the Edmonton scene, as well as it's nice to see that you guys are all kind of strongly connected and kind of doing what you can to bring everybody up. So yeah, like Kite told me to have you on. Taylor told me to have you on, and Soul told me to have you on. So, yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really grateful that you took the time to sit down with me today and
Of course.
kind of talk about your journey as an artist and kind of what you have going on.
Let's get it.
Yeah. So bring me through it. Where did this all start for you? So you grew up in Edmonton.
Yeah, born and raised in Edmonton, and honestly, I would say this like when I first initially got into writing and just creating music. I was in Jamaica on a family vacation,
Mm-hmm.
but it was kind of like the late nights of it, like the late nights of being there, because where we were staying at, it was like a pretty, I'd say like hectic area. So you're not trying to be outside late at
Right.
night, right?
Right.
So I kind of just be in my room. I was probably in, I think, 10th grade, end of like first semester to be exact. Yeah. So I was kind of just laying in bed. And I was just going through YouTube. I would see, what was it, 2019?
2019.
2019, I believe.
It's about
And
7 years ago.
yeah. I was kind of just going through YouTube, and a beat would come up like as a recommended. I clicked it, and I was like, "Damn, okay, let me try this. Let me see how this goes." Because I was kind of just, I guess, venting to begin with, just really expressing like how I felt. I wasn't really expressing it to anyone, but just on a piece of
Yeah.
piece of paper. So that was really initially how it started. Then when I came back from Jamaica in school, that's when I met Taylor. Not for the first time, but I guess we rekindled our relationship just because we knew each other from playing soccer together
Mhm.
years before, like when we were younger. But he's older, so as time went on, we kind of drifted apart.
Right.
So yeah, we end up I end up coming back, and we end up being in the same class. Weirdly enough, I'm pretty sure it's photography class. And one day I see him skipping out, skipping class. I'm like, bro, where you going? And he's like, I got a home studio. I'm about to go make some beats. Trying to come? I'm like, shit, I just got into this. I might as well, might as
Yeah.
well try it out, see where it goes. And honestly, the rest was history.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting because he kind of, through our conversation, he kind of already knew, like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I don't need to do all this. So, yeah, and it's really interesting because, if you tell 100 people that, 99 people would be like, yo, you're crazy.
They're crazy.
But yeah, so you started like basically expressing your feelings
Yeah.
and like using that like to get you started with music. What were like some early like examples that you kind of wanted to follow, or like who did you try to kind of like idolize in a
Yeah.
way?
At that time, oh my god, at that time it was like very, I'd say very street heavy. So
Yeah.
like there was young guys coming up. I don't know if you know, but there's Polo G
Yeah, yeah.
and like Little TJ and I think Roddy Rich, like just those
Yeah.
guys at that time were like people I wouldn't say idolized, but I looked to as like, okay, if they did it, I could do it too.
And that's kind of like the sound.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
that was the sound. I would say that was the sound, like early beginning stages for sure.
Right.
But as time went on, I evolved into just being embracing more of me and doing the things I think I sound good on
Right.
and what reflects my character and things like that of that nature.
So now you're actually like trying. When did it become a moment where you were like, all right, I'm gonna like dive into this, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
like. What was like the learning for you? Like, where did you start with that? Like, learn, because there's so much you have to learn about in
Yeah.
terms of like not only writing, like acquiring beats. How do you acquire beats?
Yeah.
Who do I talk to? What am I trying to do?
Um, I have two, honestly. There's a first initial one where I'm really first getting into, and that was COVID. You
Mm-hmm.
know, everyone was locked inside. You know what I mean? It was it was a weird time because you couldn't really do anything. So I was like, okay, I started doing this. Let me hone into it a little bit more. I have all this time now. You know, so I'm on call with. I'm either with Taylor or I'm on call with him like every single day. Every
Right.
single day, probably from like 8, 9, 10 in the morning to 9, 10. Actually, no, 10, 11, 12 at midnight. And at
Yeah.
this time, I lived south and he was west. So in order to always be with him or go and record, I would have to train, bus, take like 3 buses
Right.
just to get there. Like it was really, really a grind. But I was, I guess you'd say, super motivated just because I knew where we could take it.
Yeah.
And where this city is, I wouldn't say lacking, but what it's missing.
Yeah. For sure.
For sure.
And
And
now, what was the thing that like sparked? No, you said you had a second.
I
thing.
had a second
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
yeah. Then years went by, and I think it was my first like real project that me and Taylor worked on. It's called Unforgotten in 2022, and the release of that was crazy, but at the same time also got me my first manager, which is Antonio, and that's when it really became like real. Like, okay, there's real guys depending on me now. You know what I mean? So, I think that was the second.
Now, had you performed much from that? Like how much in terms of like experience were you getting up until that point?
Um, do you mean like
Just like performances or like making songs or like how many like singles did you have? Like
songs up until that point, man? I had that I made but didn't put out. I had like 1,000. Like
yeah,
it was insane. Sometimes me and T would literally push out 10, like make 10 songs in a day.
right.
And I was like, looking back at that now is insane. I won't,
Yeah.
I won't lie. But that I had out at that time, I would say it wasn't too many. It was probably like 20, 25.
Right.
And then that, like, also with shows, I performed a lot actually over the years, but it wasn't anything significant until afterwards, until after I dropped Unforgotten. So
Was it hard to get on stage like starting off? Like what did you have to do to kind of like get your name out there, like actually like start to get and I think there's a difference too where there's a difference between like getting on stage anywhere and then getting on where like people are actually listening or like
Exactly.
actually want to like they actually want to like do shit with you.
No,
So like I
exactly.
think there's like a difference, you know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, there's
1,000%.
people that are part of like the culture and stuff
Yeah.
that actually are listening.
The honestly, I would at first, like when I was first coming up, I was kind of just taking anything just to get that experience. So I would perform at like lounges and after party shows and just like little things just to build a name for not just myself but the music too.
Mm-hmm.
But it got to a point where I feel like that was hurting me more than it was helping me. After you do it, after you do it for a little while, right? So then I kind of leaned back off of it, but
Like your time could be spent doing something else,
yeah,
like making more music or
yeah,
writing more.
exactly. Like it was the same people seeing me, so it wasn't really like it wasn't something I haven't seen before.
Yeah,
I
turn
like
into like an echo chamber where you're like, yeah, people are just repping me because
exactly
it's me and they're my
exactly.
friends and
Exactly.
you know what I mean. Yeah, and it's probably hard too to like start getting in those rooms where nobody knows you, and it's probably like a huge leap too, like confidence wise. Now, as any new artist, like there's so many people that are like, yeah, like how did you deal with that type of criticism? How did that look for you? Like a lot of people, some people, it's like it doesn't even bother them, and then other people that kind of, it's one of these like 50-50. It's like that outward noise that starts to bother your inside voice,
Yeah.
where you're like, oh, is this what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then someone like gives you like a and you're like, okay, like maybe they're right.
Yeah.
What did that look like for you?
I feel like every artist at a certain point, like especially when you're coming up, has that doubt in their mind, just like, is this really gonna work? Is this really gonna pan out? And it's kind of just seeing it through. But when it comes to, I like to say the naysayers, I really don't pay him too much mind, just because you're like, if you like me, you're gonna like me for me. That's always, I think even now, especially that I've just gotten older, is something I'm really trying to embrace more. Because I won't lie, when I was younger I used to be a people pleaser, and it showed in the music. I'd try and do everything that's people would gravitate to and people like, and then I just realized like that's not gonna really pave the way for anyone that truly likes you, because you don't have a real path. Like, you don't have a distinctive sound or a distinctive niche, or so it kind of also took away from the music, because it just didn't align with who I was.
Yeah, eventually you're getting like imposter syndrome, where you're like, okay, eventually I'm gonna run out of people to copy. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, eventually I won't be able to fucking do this any longer.
Exactly.
So what did that look like for you? Like finding your own sound? Like, was it something to do with the actual production of the beat? Was it more changing in writing? What was that change that kind of?
It was the change in writing and the cadence and pockets I was choosing to like flow on.
Right.
On the beat, obviously. The beat helped too. Actually, I won't lie, the production helped a lot too. Being able to kind of just morph or merge into how I was coming on it. Shout out to T for that, I won't lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
That guy's amazing. But yeah, it was a mix of a lot of things, because that pocket and cadence and obviously what you're saying, those three things, I feel like a lot of artists don't really take that in when it comes to what they're showcasing and what they're providing.
Right.
Because after a little while, you use the same bar, you talk about the same things in the same way, on the same type of beats, like it's gonna get redundant. Mm-hmm. People are gonna get tired of that. They're gonna, like no one wants to hear the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Right.
And even if they do, they have a specific artist for that.
Right.
So
did you have to almost get like more? Because some people, that when they make music, they have like tight guardrails where it's like, yo, I won't talk about this, I won't talk about that, or I won't get to. Was that something that you kind of had to like experiment a little bit, of be like, okay, I'm gonna be a little bit more personal, or I'm gonna be a little bit more like talking about how I'm feeling, instead of just like the everyday?
I have, like, if you go through my music, there's certain production for, I guess, what I like, certain topics. So I would say like a slow down sample in the back type of beat, I'm gonna get more personal on it, just because like I feel like I can express more on those types of on that type of production. Accustomed to a up tempo pop sound and beat, where it's
or like a drill beat,
exactly,
or
where it's just,
it's like it's not the place,
not the place, not the time.
Have you ever tried that Rod Wave-ish or what?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
that was yeah. Rod, I look up to Rod.
Yeah.
Rod's one of the guys where it's like he did it the right way.
Yeah.
So I respect it.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Like once you start mixing vocals in, like it, I think that's where like the skill, like where you actually have to start leveling up
Yeah.
like the amount that you care about it, because like I think there's a difference between like rapping and rapping in your own voice and like how that works, but then you look at like say like a DaBaby or Eminem, where it's like they're actually like playing different characters and like, you know what I mean, like they're changing their like tempos and their pitches and stuff like that, where that's where it starts to get like, okay,
you get it.
It's like this is next level, like you know what I mean.
Does a great job of that. Great job of
it. I think that's like as an artist where you start to like level up, because then like the creativity, and then on top of that, like you're enhancing like this idea of storytelling where like you're bringing people in, right?
1000%.
Like I always talk about with movies where like the best movies, they make you feel like you're there with them, right? Like I don't know if you know this guy out of Olds, Alberta, Joey Vivance.
No.
But I'll show you some stuff that he's been doing. But dude, this guy, he put out a little clip yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, man, this jazz shit, like, you gotta fucking do more of this. Like, I was like, it had me going, man. Like, I said I replayed the reel like 50 fucking times. Like, I loved it, man.
I gotta see it.
Yeah, but it's something to be said about the ability to like get someone in, right?
For sure.
And yeah. Now, talking about that, where do you think early on you started to like evolve as an artist? Like, what was like the biggest things that you started to learn about yourself or about the industry?
I would say 2023 is when I started to move different, you know,
right.
as people would say, or start to shift my, not just like my sound, but what I was doing and what I guess put my time into, just because I was at that time especially, I was really balancing between work and like supporting my life and making music happen, you know, like, and Lee, thinking back to that time, that time was serious, because I would have to quick little insight, I would have to go to bed mad early. I worked at like a weed plant, like a weed
where they're making like the pre-rolls and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So, but I would work super early, so I'd have to go to bed at like 8, 9. Yeah, like 8, 9, 10ish, and wake up at 4:30. But obviously, that takes away from me recording and writing and being able to do the things I've been so used to doing up until that point.
Right.
Right. So, that shift really happened at that time period, just because I had to be more efficient. I had to do things more sincere, more with a purpose. So
yeah, you couldn't just like fuck around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So instead of just going into the studio and, hey, can you let's see what we can cook up today, I'm going in with beats as references for T to, you know, get inspired from what I was like, what I was oh my god, going through at that time, or when I was writing it.
Right.
Because I'd be writing on lunch breaks and, you know, whenever I could really find the time, maybe just driving.
But like you went in a little bit more prepared.
Exactly.
Like, you kind of went in and were like, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I got. Like, all right, let's get to it.
Exactly.
And it's good that you found that, but it's almost like good thing that you didn't let that almost like ruin it for you, because then people see that and it's like, oh, this is turning into a chore.
Yeah.
And like this is getting fucking low key annoying.
That's the thing. That's what I was battling too, because it felt like that. It was like, okay, what am I doing this for? You know, like,
yeah, like I'm just fucking like I'm just going through it, and then you're getting more like monetary out of the job, but you're fucking miserable, and then you know what I mean, and then you're trying to get this done, but you got no time.
The worst part is for me was also the people's, like, because it's not just it wasn't just about me. It was with T too, you know, like it was with manager, like, oh, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like, where is this going?
Yeah. What's the goal? What's the end game?
And, you know, it's kind of just frustrating when you want something to work out so bad, and it feels like it's right there for the taking, and you keep getting pulled back as soon as you're trying to take it. That's what it felt like. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, they say that, like, I forget the term, but it was like fear is a mile wide but an inch deep. So it's like your fear to do it is like, but then once you jump in, you realize like it ain't, you know what I mean? Like it ain't that big of a deal, and like you kind of just have to go through it and play the long game. But like, it's hard, and I think that's that balance in trying to create anything like from scratch, where you are going through it and you have these battles where you're like, all right, like this ain't it.
Yeah.
But then you kind of have to look and say like, but any other person that was going, unless they were an overnight success, which isn't really that, because even overnight successes, they probably had 20 duds before they were found, right? So it's like eventually you get to that point where you pop, and it's almost more satisfying to look back and be like, yo, I've been like grinding this out for a long time, and like this feels good, right?
Yeah.
But when you like, I'm just trying to kind of put myself in your shoes right now of like making music and going to the studio, and like, was there any of this like external pressure of like, I'm not doing enough, or I'm not living up to people's expectations, or like I haven't done this yet, you know what I mean? Like, and how do you kind of go through that in a way of still continuing to go forward?
Yeah, there was a lot of that. There was like a lot of that, honestly. And it was more of just comparison, you know? You're looking at just, you see things online and people around you where they're doing it and you're stuck working at a weed plant, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How I pushed through it, honestly, was I just stopped comparing. Like, this is my story, you know what I mean? Like, it's gonna go how it's supposed to go. And that's really what I just started realizing, like, no one's walking in the same shoes as me, so why am I comparing what they have and what their journey was to something not relatively close at all? You know what I mean?
So by doing that, how, like, you get into the studio, where do you start with like making a track? Like, what's your, like, do you have like a formula in place that you're like, okay, this is like the start, I'm gonna write it, I'm gonna find a beat?
Me personally, I gotta hear the beat first.
Yeah.
There's been one song where I haven't heard the beat. I just wrote it and it came out beautiful in my opinion.
And what's the reason for like looking for the beat first? Is that to like invoke that like emotion, or find out? Now, do you have like, you have some people that have like rhyme books, right? Or like
no, I don't have no rhyme.
Yeah. Or like some people that like they have so much where it's like they hear the beat and then they're like, okay.
I do that now just because of how much I have. Like, I'm not always in the studio writing, so I'm just writing wherever I can. But I do that now. I actually love that, because sometimes when it comes to sample interpolation, stuff like that, like I'll write it down and be like, oh, this would be a cool thing to flip into another. But I'm not going to force it into something.
You're not like, okay, I don't want to write anymore.
Exactly.
So I'm going to take this and kind of jam it in there. Because that don't like... But that's... So you get the beat, you find like kind of how you're feeling.
I didn't get that answer your beat question. I picked the beat first because it evokes the most feeling that like the artist feels before they make their lyrics, in my opinion. So let's say T cooks in something, he's putting in something and it's something dark. That's gonna evoke something out of me that, you know, maybe the next beat doesn't. Yeah. So I kind of just I don't rely on the beat, but we work hand in hand.
And you almost have to do that because you got to know like what's the theme with this. Like,
Exactly.
I can't play something nice over like some like murder beat, like
Exactly.
or like say it's something like R&B. I can't like go crazy
and start spitting like Eminem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, for real.
So then you get that, you start writing. Now, how does it all come together? Like, what are the fine tweaks that like you find that you do to a track that like starts to create it as your own?
Honestly, I hammer like it depends. It really depends. There's two ways it can go. For one, it can be half this. Like sometimes you just push out half a song, and as I'm writing the next verse for it, right, there would be things I hear in it that I can change that or I can tweak that, but I really have the ideal premise down, so I know where the hook's gonna go. But that's still like writing process, That's only if, let's say, we're time crunching and we have to go somewhere. We'll put down only half the song and then I'll do the rest on a different day.
Right.
Sometimes when, let's say, we finish a song, I hear it and I just listen to it honestly nonstop, just because like, okay, what can where do I hear a disconnect, or where would I turn this off, or why does that sound like this, or maybe a cut can come here, or maybe I take this bar out and replace it with something else, like I honestly just I sit with it for a little bit. I would say I sit with it until honestly it's about to come out, and then I make my tweaks, I make my notes, be like, hey, I also ask T, like, what do you hear, or what don't you like, or maybe, and he'll give his input. He'll say maybe you change this bar up, or
and that's it's interesting you say that, because that's one of the things that me and Taylor talked about was like you have some people that come in and like maybe not in your case, but for other people's case, they come in and then they start giving the producers like whack ass notes and like, I want you to do this, and he's like, bro, you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, like. Nah,
for real.
And then he goes like, yo, you have no idea what you're talking about, bro.
I've seen that happen so many times. Like not even with me just going into the studio, and someone comes in and they just want this here. Like, they start power tripping. Like,
yeah. Is there ever that like creative respect that you have to have for the producers to be like, yo, I'm doing this, and like just like they like let me cook over here, like as much as I'd like to like give them everything and kind of throw it out there, there's something where it's like, yo, he'll eventually figure it out.
No,
like,
they're always like, no matter what, has to be a mutual respect with who you're creating with, because it's not just your thing,
right?
Like, it's a music is a collaborative thing,
right?
Like you, in order to get a
a professional product,
exactly, you have to mesh well and work well with other people. That's just what it is,
right?
So yeah.
Was that always something easy you were able to do, of like understand that that's part of the business, or did it take like was Taylor like the first and only producer that you've kind of been with, or have you like trialed and errored it, or worked with other people where you were like, yeah, this ain't for like, you know what I mean? Like, I ain't gonna come back to this guy.
It's always been T for me, like you heard it. I just said he introduced me to it. Introduced me to. Yeah,
you guys have like a long standing friendship,
like,
man.
I won't even lie. Even I was telling him this not too long ago, was we had like a soccer road trip, and at that time I think I was in grade 8, probably grade 7, grade 8. It was middle school, I know that.
Right.
And I was kind of just getting into music, so I was really big on like Pac, like all the old school goes, like Pac, Biggie, but it might have been like 2017 at this time, 2016, and he was just showing me all these new people coming up. So there was like A Boogie and Nav, and that's what he was listening to, and he was like, yo, these guys are really fire. And I'm like, okay, let's. He was just playing it, driving down to Calgary because it was a long road trip. So the whole way down there, he's playing all these songs. I'm like, yo, these guys, these guys are, guys actually like really, really good. I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
But he didn't know he was doing that until
Right.
I told him like, yeah, those are the first time I ever heard of those guys, and look where they're at now. Right? They're big. The thing I'll say about T, his taste in music is like beautiful.
It's almost
amazing.
It's almost something where you're like, okay, you know what you're like. I don't even need to know how your brain works.
Yeah.
I just know that it's gonna go in the right direction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, and in some things, like it's just so natural to some people where you're like, yeah, I can just let them cook.
No, literally.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that's where the mutual respect came from, just because like I know what I bring, and it's sometimes question what the other person brings, just like if you never worked with them before, you don't know how their mind works. But I never had that with T, just because how we grew up.
Right.
So.
No, that's good, and that's probably a luxury that not a lot of people, like you had that kind of already inline friendship with someone where it wasn't to have that mutual respect. It wasn't like a big like who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like who the fuck are you?
Also, I think you just got to be open and like talk about what your vision is with what you're trying to create.
Yeah.
Like,
that is important.
Where do you want to take this? And the producer helps you create that vision.
Yeah, because if you don't communicate it, they have no idea what you're trying to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, that I think like the transparency is so important to be like, this is what I'm trying to make. This is what I'm trying to tell. This is, and not being like afraid of that criticism or afraid of like, yeah, maybe not this, maybe not that. Like you drop the ego and that's one thing that Taylor said as well is like, once you come in the studio, like all this like ego shit of like,
it's out the door.
Yeah, he's like, you got to come in and just be like ready to work.
Yeah, really.
But no, that's good. And from hearing him, man, like just like his work ethic and the way that he sees things and trying to get like the best product out for people, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like you're definitely in good hands. But through this whole like come up and like as you're still on your like ascension, have there been any like I don't know, like parts where like you saw as like big setbacks where like you had events that you didn't perform that well, or you had a song that you thought was going to be a banger, it came out, didn't really do well or something like that? Like how did those moments sit with you, and like what did you do?
There's been a lot, man. There's been a lot. 'Cause it feels like, honestly, like for me to get a win, I got to take 1,000 losses. That's what it feels like. I won't lie. So
yeah,
honestly,
you get comfortable losing though. You know what I mean?
You do.
You get comfortable taking L's, where you're like, this ain't nothing new.
Exactly. You just get used to it.
Yeah.
But no, throughout the years, there's been huge points, because sometimes I'll bring people onto the team and like I see their potential, they know their potential, like and that just doesn't pan out.
Right.
So that's one thing, and then or post a snippet online.
All right, I'm back. Continue.
When I post a snippet and it goes crazy online, and then the song actually comes out and doesn't do as well as it should have,
right.
Or a music video, same thing, or project, same thing, or a show where it's like, oh, I'll be there, yada yada yada, and then like not that many people show up. Not even not that many people, like still a decent amount of people, but not to your expectations, So yeah, there's been a lot. I really try not to think about it, because I how I think about it is everything happens for a reason. So I feel like all those things, all those losses, trials and tribulations really do just build me up and build me into who I am today.
100%, man.
I can't be mad at, you know what I mean?
And at the end of the day, like it you learn more from losses than you do from wins, right?
Exactly.
So you just go like, yo, I'm not
Exactly.
going to do that again, or I'm going to try this, or I'm going to try. And like I always say to everybody, like, not everything, like, in every aspect of life, like, you're going to try this. Oh, this didn't work. Okay, we're going to go here. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, that. Okay. Then, eventually you start to, like, find out what actually works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
But as an artist, I'm sure it's hard because, like, you're putting so much of this, like, passion and, like, creative drive where it's like at some point an artist, they could put out anything and they feel like it's a banger, and then it's like you kind of have to look at it from the outside looking in and be like, okay, like, I might like it because, like, I made it,
Yeah.
but, like, I have to find out, like, what actually
resonates with the
yeah,
people
I gotta
listening.
find out, like, what hits with people, and, like, oh, do people think, like, I sounded fake here, or, like, I'm doing too much, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And you kind of have to balance that out. And again, it's probably finding your own sound too, where you're
But
like,
also that's where, like, the engineer and producer come in, because it's like they're the lens and the perspective that you don't have for yourself, obviously, just because, like, you know. So I feel like them being there, you ask them, be like, or in my case, I always ask, I'm like, oh, how do we feel about this, or what do you think about this? And
Yeah.
that's also where it leads to trust.
yeah, it's like a level of mentorship as well, where, like,
Literally.
if you can almost trust them to be like, okay, don't, like, glaze this, like,
Literally.
legit, just, like, tell me what you feel,
Yeah.
and, like, I'm not gonna be butthurt.
Yeah.
And, like, but that's I think that's, like, a hard barrier that people have to get to, and, like, that's what separates, like, the people that are making it and the people that are, like, making good music,
Yeah.
and the people that, like, they can't get out of their own way because they can't be told, like, yeah, that, like, it
Wasn't
just
it?
didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Then people are like, well, fuck you then. You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, well, that, it's, I can understand the challenge, but it's like that's the barrier where you see a lot of people, they just get, like, stuck in their feels, where it's like you gotta let that shit go, right?
1000%.
When you're, like, what kind of, like, messages are you trying to tell with your music? Like, is some of it for fun and then others are more serious, or do you try to be, like, are you trying to send a message with every song, or are some of them just, like, flex tracks?
Sorry, I would say, I would say it really depends on the song. Like, it's a lot of, like, not everything, but there are those fun tracks where, you can turn up with the ladies and have fun and, just chill out. It's just a vibe. But there's also those R&B heartbroken tracks where it's like, damn, okay, like, this is why I have a hard time trusting. Or another thing is, or another thing for me is, I like to advocate and embrace just being yourself, because it feels like that's what people don't like doing today. It's, they don't like being themselves, so they turn to other things, to try and fit in, or doing what's cool. And I just feel like that's not what makes us.
Right.
So that's also another thing I try and put in the music, because I'm always like I said, I'm always be me.
Right.
So
do you find that you have to, like, change the way that you're making music when you look at, like, collabing with people or making, like, feature tracks and stuff like that? Or you're trying to, like, how much are you trying to work into their style and, like, not, like, do too much?
I always, when it comes to collaborating and, working with other people, I always bring me to their world, if that makes sense. So, if, let's say they're a drill artist and they're talking about drill, I'm going to still talk about the things I would usually talk about, just on their landscape.
Right.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good mix, because it's not like you're saying, oh, screw, or, fuck whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
But I still get to be me, and they still get to do them. It's It's a great
Right.
mix. It's a great mix.
Was there any like big learning lesson that like comes with doing business with other people and like, you know, how how does this idea of like keeping it business as well, like how have you learned in that aspect of it, of like making sure you're getting like, you know, if you're getting booked for shows, getting paid, or doing
Yeah.
collabs with people, or people asking you too much for features, like what has been like a standout thing that you've kind of learned in like making sure that you're working with the right people?
Um, it's really I kind of scope it out before we even get to that
Right.
stage, you know?
Yeah, you
I
kind of
kind of
already know.
I'm like, is this good for me? Really, is this like a good look for me, or does this hurt? I wouldn't say my reputation, but my image, or you know, like I scope a lot of things out before um, anything's actually put out there. So really, really, I like to think I don't make any. I wouldn't say like wrong decisions, but when it comes to collaborating, I always think I tend to make the right
Well,
decision.
and you've done some work with Vintage. Talk to me about how that kind of like relationship started.
Um, damn, feels like I've known this guy for a long time. I won't lie, but like I've known of him, but we're just starting to get to know each other now
Yeah.
personally. But it was through a show. It was through like a local artist show on how we met. And I'm trying to think. It was before River City was a thing, I believe, and he
Yeah.
was just performing at a show. Yeah, and then we kind of just, I messed with what you're doing. He messed with what I was doing. It was kind of just a mutual respect thing, and then we kind of just took it from there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, he's really cool, and like
for real.
his type of the lens that he sees it through, and like the way that he tries to like, and as well, like it's very like he's putting himself out there and like actively like trying to like
Yeah.
mentor people and like shape this like idea of like a collective and a community,
Mm-hmm.
which definitely in like Edmonton alone like brings a lot of people up, right?
Yeah, for
Of
sure.
just whether it's understanding music, but even just like understanding like, yo, this is how much you should like do collabs. This is how much you should focus on your own shit. This is how much you should be getting in a studio and performing and
For real.
all that type of stuff, right? Because like he's just kind of been through it, and he's not even that old.
Oh.
He's like 24,
Three.
23, 24.
Yeah.
Like for someone to know that much at such a young age, it's like holy shit. But going into that, like what do you think was like the best track, or like the song that you were really like, oh wow, that was dope?
As time goes on, it feels like that
It always
the answer to that question is always changing. But damn, my best track. I feel like a track that says a lot about me would be, there's two. There's Retrospect, which is on my last EP that I dropped. If Only They Knew.
Mm-hmm.
That was the outro on it, and then also the intro on it, which is Established in 23. Which, like, those two songs, I feel like say a lot about me. But my best song, my best song, that's just so hard. My best song, I don't know if I can answer that. I have favorites for sure. I have favorites, but I don't know if I have like. I don't know if I could pick and be like,
Right.
this is my best song. Just
Right.
because like
No, that's fair.
you go through my music, it's a tough pick, man.
Yeah.
It's a really tough pick.
And when you look at this whole, like, even you said it like halfway through the interview where you're saying, like, what am I trying to do here?
Yeah.
What do you think, like, your biggest metric of success is? Like, where are you trying to get to where you're like, oh, okay, I succeeded as an artist, or like I'm starting to do it right, or I'm starting to get that feedback?
Yeah. I feel like there's tiers in the metric for me, but if I had to like just, name it out, I'd say the culture in the city, where it's like it just doesn't feel like it has an identity, and I feel like I could bring that identity. So that would be one measure of it. Two is, I know it really don't mean too much, but like just for how much I went through, like, a Grammy or Juno, what wouldn't be too hard. Like, not too hard. I mean too crazy.
100%.
And I think honestly, at the form of success, I feel like those would be the only two. Like, my big thing is really just the city. Like I feel like, especially because in Canada, it's just so hard for the music scene to be, I don't know why, but respected and taken serious, which is like, we got to change that, you know? So I feel like that would be the highest form of success for me. Yeah. For me, it's changing that.
Talk about your newest body of work. What have you released lately, and what was that process?
I just released To The Game, which is like a hip hop R&B infused song where pretty much I'm talking about ex-girl sliming me out pretty much, and that's really what it was. It was, about an ex slamming me out. Yeah. So there's that, and then there's also Says It All, which is an R&B fully R&B song that is pretty much about the same thing, but in a different perspective. Right. But how, you're asking how I got there? Or
or just like what was that? Yeah, like what was that process in like putting those out? What was like the, what was like the feedback, and kind of how did that all look?
Those songs are going crazy right now. I won't even lie. Just to start off the new year, it's probably my best start ever. Yeah, I would say my best start ever to a year, because the feedback on me, because I haven't really released too much R&B. So the first track of this year that comes out being an R&B track, people are ecstatic for it and they want more of it. So right, that was amazing. And To The Game was more of it feel like a refresher to my sound and to who I really am. Yeah. To be honest. Yeah.
And then you put the visuals out on Instagram and shit, so it's like you have something to actually like go with.
I feel like doing that really sets the mood for like the song and what you're trying to get across.
Yeah, with that it adds to like the experience for sure. It definitely, I think having those is a huge asset, because then you kind of can read in and be like, oh, this is what they were feeling, or this is what they were trying to, or this is the mood, right? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that's good though. That's good that your R&B stuff is doing well at almost it, especially going off to such a strong start. It kind of like it motivates you to be like, all right, cool, like let's ride this wave.
We still got this. That's what it felt like. It felt like, we really still got this. We're still here. So honestly, it's staying consistent and staying on top of that.
Have you done any performances in the new year yet?
No, I haven't. I have some shows coming up. Yeah. I do have some shows coming up. So that's it's gonna be a big one.
So you have some shows coming up. Do you have any new music that you're teasing?
Yes, I have. I'm planning to release like every 2 to 3 weeks of the year.
Now, how long does it take you to like turn out a track?
Ooh, it depends. If I'm going like raw, like nothing, and me and T are cooking up some, or like I just find a beat online, I would say it takes me like 2 hours, 3 hours to really have like a solid track.
Right.
But
Well, like the promotion, the cover art, you know what I mean, like the whole rollout.
Process.
Yeah.
A month to get everything in order.
Yeah.
A month, because like for me, it's not even about the cover art itself. I like to have motion cover art too, just because it makes it feel more real. But you also gotta book a shoot to get the 100%. Cover done. You also gotta get through mixes, masters, what sounds right, what doesn't sound right. Is this too loud? I gotta turn this down.
Yeah. Stuff
like that. So it's a lot that does go into it. Also, it's dates, right? It's also dates because you want to shoot content for the song. So you want to get the song out at a good point. Obviously, there's never no perfect point, but
is there any like day of the week that's like most optimal as like an artist to like for me, like putting out a podcast on a weekend is like no bueno, because unless I have to, unless I'm but like it's one of those things where it's like you have to put yourself in the listener's shoes and going like, well, how many people through Monday to Friday sitting in offices with fuck all to do that are subscribed to my channel? So if I put it on a Saturday, they ain't going to hear it on a Monday. But everybody already heard all the shit that they want to hear by Monday, so now I'm fucked. You know what I mean? Like,
I would say for the industry, it's Fridays. Because music usually comes out Thursday night, like Thursday midnight. So that Friday is when most people listen to new music. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like it really depends on who you are or what you're catering to as an artist.
Yeah, if you're like a NBA young boy or something, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Drops whenever,
yeah, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
But for me, I would say Thursday nights, Fridays.
Now, out of curiosity, what's the process in like getting on playlists and like getting your shit featured? Like, is that a grind on its own of like?
That is a super grind because, there's multiple ways how it works, because you can reach out to a content creator and they can have their own playlist that they can put you on, but you got to pay this much amount, or you got to do like it's always a compensation type of thing, which like I get, it's business, but it's a super grind. Also, sometimes there's just like if you go to Spotify, there's just people's names, and you look into them and they're not even anything, they're just random people, but
they had the guap.
Exactly, like they pay people to either go find tracks to put on, they find them themselves, or you go to them.
It's almost at one point you're like, is this even like effective? And like, even if I get put on, and it's like, are people even listening? And like, how much is this paying off if I got to throw this guy a couple $100?
Especially like, also you don't know what you're getting put onto, right? Because there's a lot of botting now, as people like to say. So it's like, is my account gonna get taken down for this? Or, there's the risk.
You just don't know what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel you with there. Yeah. So when you look at the next 6 months in this journey, what are you looking forward most to? Like, what do you got on the horizon?
More drops, of course. More music coming out. I think this year is the most consistent with drops I will ever have. Like, because I already got the songs lined up. I know when they're gonna come out. Like, they're coming. Like every 2 weeks, I'm telling you, they're coming. Also, though, more shows. I miss performing, man. I miss performing a lot. So getting back on the stage and connecting my audience and my fans is gonna go a long way. And then on top of that, I also got merch coming. So that's gonna
good.
be
it's
gonna be cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Anything else you want to say before we kind of wrap it up?
Nah, not too much, man. Just keep being you, keep doing you, stay positive.
That's right, man.
Keep grinding, keep your head up. Nothing's ever impossible. So if you have a dream, just go chase it. For real.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And you're kind of prime example. You're just doing it. You're getting the numbers. And also that you're getting, like, as I can tell, like, you're getting that, like, personal satisfaction where it's like, you know that you're, like, achieving what you want to do. And I think that's, like, the most important, where it's like you're kind of, like, scratching that itch yourself regardless of, like, what people think.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing too, where it's like you gotta find out what works for you, and then, like, you know what I mean?
Take it from there.
Yeah, take it from there. And then
Literally.
and then whatever the challenges, whatever the things you got to do, whether it's getting on playlists or finding the right producer or whatever it is, it's like you're going to be all right with those challenges because it's, like, worth it in the end, right? Because, like, you have the drive to do it.
Literally. It's what I realized, like, when it comes to this lane, and it's all about, I wouldn't say finesse, but, like, just doing what works for what you're trying to, like, get across, pretty much. Like, honestly, it's doing what you gotta do in order to get to where you want to get to.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
So,
and if you want it the most, then you're going to get there.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And that's as simply as it is. Like, regardless of what the challenge is or what you got to do, it's like, if you want it and you want it that bad, like,
you'll find a way.
You'll find a way. You'll find a loophole. You'll find
a
person to fucking help you through it, whatever the case may be. For people checking out your music, what track do you think they should start off with?
They should start Established 23 on If Only They Knew. If you know it's your first time hearing or hearing about me, checking me out, Karisse G, If Only They Knew. You start from the very top, you work your way down, and you go from there. I promise you're gonna find something you like, but also resonate with it.
Yeah, fair. Well, that's amazing. And for the people listening, Karisse G, check them out. I appreciate you for coming through. We'll put all the links in the description on where people can find you. And if you're from Edmonton, tap in, support him when he comes out for shows and pop-ups and shit like that. And I can't wait to kind of link up with you.
Of course.
6 months, a year from now, see how you're doing, see how the music's going, and we'll chop it up again.
Let's do it.
Yeah, with that, that's been another episode of Solo Spotlight. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share to your friend, tap in.
Tap in.
And, we'll see you next week.